Anne Ballantine was born in Edinburgh in approximately 1966 or 1967. Her father was Graham Ballantine. Her mother was Isabel. She had a younger brother named Alan and a younger sister. She grew up in a close and loving family in Scotland's capital city, a city of extraordinary beauty and deep history, of the medieval Old Town and the elegant New Town, of a skyline that had not fundamentally changed in centuries. But Edinburgh in the 1980s was also, beneath its celebrated appearance, a city with serious social problems. Unemployment was high. Heroin had arrived with devastating speed. And in the inner suburb of Fountainbridge, where the Union Canal ran quietly between terraced streets and converted industrial buildings, a 20-year-old woman was beginning to build an independent life for herself. Anne was the eldest child. She was described by everyone who knew her as happy-go-lucky, sociable, warm, energetic, the kind of person who lit up a room. She came from a family where traditions mattered. Christmas was properly celebrated. Anne always went home on Christmas Eve, always stayed the night, and the family had a quiet ritual of opening one present together on Christmas Eve before saving the rest for Christmas morning. It was the kind of small, specific routine that families build over years and that becomes, without anyone quite realizing it, one of the things that makes life feel held together. By the autumn of 1986, Anne was 20 years old and living alone in a flat on Yeaman Place in Fountainbridge. She had chosen the flat deliberately. It was, those who knew her said, an attempt to live an independent life in the city she had grown up in. She visited her parents regularly for meals and to do her laundry. She had a wide circle of friends. She was a heavy metal fan who had bought tickets to see Alice Cooper perform at the Edinburgh Playhouse. She volunteered her time at a local youth project in the city, giving something back to young people who needed support. She had recently ended a relationship with her boyfriend, but there was no sign that it had left her troubled or unhappy. She was 20 years old and she was getting on with her life. On the 17th of November 1986, Anne and her mother Isabel visited a friend at the old Edinburgh Royal Infirmary. After the hospital visit, Anne returned with Isabel to her parents' home and spent time with her father Graham. When the time came to leave, she promised her parents she would see them soon. Isabel asked if she would still be coming for Christmas. Anne said yes. As she walked out of the door, Isabel recalled that Anne had been completely her normal self. Warm, cheerful, the daughter she always knew. That was the last time the Ballantine family saw Anne alive. 5 days later, a friend telephoned Graham and Isabel to say that Anne had not shown up for a planned meeting. The family went to Anne's flat on Yeaman Place. There was no answer. Isabel went back 3 or 4 more times over the following weeks, each time pushing a note through the letterbox with a small amount of money, £5.05, asking Anne to telephone her. Friends of Anne told the family they had spotted her around Edinburgh in the days following her disappearance, which offered some brief reassurance. But Anne herself had made no contact. Christmas came and went without a word from her. Anne did not come home on Christmas Eve. She did not come for Christmas dinner. She did not telephone. The family sat together, Graham, Isabel, Alan, and their younger daughter, and tried to keep things as normal as they could. On Boxing Day, the 26th of December 1986, Graham and Isabel formally reported their daughter missing to the police. The weeks that followed were weeks of mounting dread. Officers questioned Anne's friends, her ex-boyfriend, and everyone in her circle. Some had seen her in the days after the 18th of November. After that, nothing. Anne Ballentine had disappeared from Edinburgh without a trace. On the morning of the 21st of January 1987, Graham Ballantine had taken his car to a garage in the Fountain Bridge area of the city. At the garage, he heard that 3 men had spotted a young woman's body in the freezing waters of the Union Canal nearby. Graham went home immediately. Shortly afterwards, police officers came to the Ballantine family home and knocked on the door. It was Anne. Her naked body had been found in the Union Canal near Lower Gilmore Place, approximately 100 yards from the flat on Yeaman Place where she had been making her life. She had been bound hand and foot. She'd been wrapped in a carpet and placed in the water. She had been raped. A ligature had been tied around her neck and she had been strangled. The body was so badly decomposed by the time it was found that she could not be visually identified. She was identified by her dental records and by a scar on her head. The cause of death was established as asphyxia and vagal inhibition. Her heart had been stopped. The forensic examination produced a finding that would disturb investigators for years to come. The body had been in the canal for only a matter of days, but Anne had been dead for months, in all probability killed shortly after she was last seen in November 1986. The state of her decomposition led forensic experts to conclude that after her death, her body had been stored somewhere cold, possibly in a freezer or cold storage facility, for a significant period of time before finally being placed in the water. Someone had murdered Anne Ballentine, hidden her body for weeks, and then disposed of her in a canal 100 yards from her own home. Her black shoulder bag was never found. Her black leather sleeveless jacket was never found. A brass petrol lighter engraved with her initials was never found. 2 keys on a keyring were never found. When police searched Anne's flat on Yeaman Place, they discovered that a camera and a photo album had also been removed, taken, it was assumed, by whoever killed her. Lothian and Borders Police launched a full murder investigation. A suspect was identified. A formal report naming that suspect was submitted to the Procurator Fiscal. There was not enough evidence to prosecute. The suspect was never charged. The suspect has never been publicly named. Police believe the suspect is still living in Edinburgh. A fresh report on the case was passed to the Crown Office in 2009. The inquiry was not reopened. 25 years after Anne's death, Graham Ballantine spoke publicly about what he knew. He told a newspaper that he knew who had killed his daughter. He said he had a photograph of Anne sitting beside the suspect at a family function. He said he could not reveal the name because of legal restrictions. He said he believed Anne had been killed in a jealous rage, that if this man could not have her, then no one else could. He said, "We know who it is, but we're not allowed to say. He's a sociopath. He has to be." Isabel Ballantine told the Scotsman in 2009, "There was always an idea of who might have done this, but there just wasn't enough for police to catch them. So you keep hoping and hoping that there will be a breakthrough and something will happen to get over whatever stumbling blocks are in the way." A separate theory was advanced by former detective Chris Clark, who proposed publicly that Anne may have been an early victim of a serial killer known as the Beast of Bramley, a man named John Taylor, who was convicted in 2002 of the murder of 16-year-old Leanne Tiernan in Leeds. The similarities between the 2 cases are considerable. Leanne Tiernan disappeared in November 2000. Like Anne, her body was found months later wrapped in fabric. In her case, a duvet cover rather than a carpet. Like Anne, forensic experts believed she had been kept in cold storage after death before being disposed of. Like Anne, a ligature had been found around her neck. Taylor also pleaded guilty to 2 additional rapes and is considered a suspect in the 1992 murder of Yvonne Fitt in Bradford. Anne's brother Alan said of this theory, "We want justice, and that's pretty much it. If it turns out it was him, then we want it pursued and we want justice for my sister." He added that his main concern was this: if it is related, why have Police Scotland not done anything about it? Police Scotland has not publicly linked the 2 cases. Detective Chief Inspector Brian Geddes of Police Scotland's Homicide Governance and Review team has stated publicly that the murder of Anne Ballentine will never be closed. He said, "We understand how devastating it is for loved ones to not have the type of closure a conviction can help to bring. Should any new information be received, detectives will thoroughly assess it and consider it for further investigation." Anne Ballentine is buried at Morton Hall Cemetery in Edinburgh. Graham and Isabel Ballantine have carried the weight of that November evening for nearly 40 years. The last time they saw their daughter, the promise she made to come for Christmas, the door closing behind her. They are still waiting for justice. Hello everyone, thank you for listening and drop any feedback below. I would love to hear your thoughts and hope to see you again right here on Cold Case UK.